Laugh Out Loud Comedy himself, Mr. Gary Busby. Eric Anton, everybody, big round of applause for Mr. Eric Anton. You guys are awesome. Thank you for warming up. Thank you for feeling it like you can laugh at stuff that you probably shouldn't laugh at. It's okay to laugh at it. We're all sinners. 2020. This guy knows where I'm going, right? My first show back, because it has been over a year since Laugh Out Loud Comedy has done a show here at the Loft. So Randy has had a year to get rid of us, did not have it happen. So thank you for Randy and everybody here at the Loft. Thank you. We love Randy. All right. Did I forget to push my button? There we go. Did it work? We're good. Yeah? Is it working?
What are you doing?
Your fucking phone that you're in charge of.
You're fine.
Okay. My wife, everybody. All right. 2020, I got a phone call asking if I would do a show, a fundraiser in Sheridan, Wyoming. And I said, yeah, what's the fundraiser? Because I don't mind doing shows for that. And they said, the fundraiser is to raise awareness for domestic violence. Now, if you have ever judged a book by its cover, now I am not domestically violent, but apparently I look like I am domestically violent. Because I went up on stage and I was immediately served with 3 restraining orders. Then I did my act and I was served with 52 more. 2020. I got married in 2020 for the first time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is the correct response because I said that at the domestic violence show and I had a person boo it. And I was like, this girl gets it right. Right, I'm in a pandemic, but I got booed for getting married. Like, boo, what is this? We want you to be unhappy and single, you dick. I'm happily married. I'm happy. Which actually means I now have 3 kids with 3 different women. That's right. And it's because I wasn't always bald. I'm a great salesman, and my wife makes bad decisions. Knocked up. 3 kids, 3 different women. I now have so many kids with so many different women that when we're driving around on a Saturday night, me and my buddy, we will see a woman walking down the street, and he'll just stop the car. He's like, Arch! He's like, hey, Busby, you think you can impregnate that one? And I look her up and down, I'm like, 2 more beers. My daughter once asked me, she goes, Dad, where do kids come from? And I said, well, if they were born in Billings, probably your father. I'll be giving that table child support later. Even you, sir. But I'm happily married. I'm happy. You can tell that I'm happy because over the last year, I have gained a ton of weight. A ton of weight. Thank you, Brittany. Shondel's sister, my wife. All right. I gained a ton of weight. I didn't even know that I was gaining so much weight. I take martial arts with my daughter. And one day after class, I was taking off my gi. Thank you. It's actually a dobak, you motherfucker. Taking it off, I had an undershirt on, and my stomach rolled out. And Grandmaster Parks saw that, and he goes, oh, you're going to have to start doing more cardio. That thing in front of your belly, that is just more belly. I was like, yes, master. I can't say or do anything to the guy. He's a 10th degree black belt. He'll hit a pressure point and make my heart explode, right?
He's also an Olympian.
He is. He's an Olympian. He's a great instructor. My wife even lets me know I'm fat. Because she goes, you know, the longer you and I are married, the more you're turning me into a lesbian. It's like, what? She goes, no, I'm not going to leave you for another woman or anything. It's just that when we make out, I find myself feeling you up. She scheduled me a mammogram. And it was at that point that she was elected for that ass whooping she'd been campaigning for. She is not a 10th degree black belt, and she has healed. I probably shouldn't have done that domestic violence show. Anyways, and there is one more fatal flaw that happens to guys when they gain weight. As we get bigger, ladies, our manhood gets smaller. It is true. It tucks up inside your belly. Like, where the fuck did it go? And I didn't even know that it was getting smaller. Like one night, my wife and I were getting undressed. It was getting ready for naked time. And she was like, babe, I want one more baby. And I said to her, I was like, you know my motto, 1 kid per woman. That's it. And as we're getting undressed, and I'm thinking that I'm looking pretty fat and hot, she looks at me and she goes, are you cold or something? I was like, bitch, what? I looked down, it looked like a little door stopper. Oh no, during the pandemic, I became the doorstop dick master. I'll further describe it because you frankly look like you want me to. Do you guys remember Super Mario? When he got hit by the Goomba? It was like, it's a me, Mario. Right? What sucks about, trying to do stuff with my wife with a Mario dick is you get that same letter that Mario used to get. It's like, thank you, Mario, but our princess is stealing another castle. You're right, because it is cold in here. You've seen my dick, and your belly button's the only thing I bottom out in. Remember, you had a baby. The best thing I could do is just rub up against one of the sides. You see how I had you all, and then I just lost all the mothers in the room? It comes back, but it's cold in there. Before everybody gets mad, I want you to know that my wife is my writing partner. We do everything together. She writes the jokes with me. And I want everybody to know that comedy is just tragedy plus time. And we both felt that there was enough time since that tragedy happened that I could tell this joke. And I did not just call my daughter a tragedy. It was the ripping of the vagina that was the tragedy. No, I love my wife. She's great. She's a great stepmom. Is there any step parents in the room tonight? Anybody at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple step parents? Thank you. You guys are awesome, because step parents really do make the difference. Step parents, my wife to my kids that are not hers, she's great. Step parents are amazing, unless you're a pile of shit. My stepmom was a pile of shit. She was absolutely horrible. And 2020 has had its roller coasters. Finally, she died. Thank you. Yes, thank you. She was awful. She was one of these people, she moved in with my dad when I was 5 years old, and she smoked religiously. I used to secondhand smoke 2 packs a day. She was a horrible housekeeper. She was a bad person. She used to flick her ashes wherever she wanted to with those cigarettes. I remember we had a computer desk, we had a couch, she just flicked her ashes wherever she wanted. We had, on the computer desk was an ashtray, ironically the cleanest thing on the computer desk. And as a teenager, I remember telling her, I was like, I'm embarrassed to have my friends over. Could you just use the ashtray? And she's like, listen, when you start paying the bills for this house, you can tell me where to put my ashes. And now she's dead. She's using an ashtray now. Is it warm enough down there for you? You husky? "2020, the year of roller coasters. I sat on a blueberry in 2020. You're like, huh, that's fucking stupid. But I didn't know I sat on a blueberry. I have a 12-year-old daughter who is coming into womanhood who discovered that I sat on a blueberry. We were walking in the store, and she come up to me very discreetly, and she pokes her head in. She's like, Dad, here, I think you started your period. And she tried handing me a tampon. And I was like, oh, kiddo, because she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand. I was like, listen, kiddo, I'm a guy, and since your older sister Gracie was born, I have not stopped being on my period. Give me that tampon. Now, that is why I am in the bathroom for so long and why we don't have toilet paper. Laugh all you want, but I just bought myself 10 more minutes of doorstop dickmaster time. D-note. That was a drop B for all you musicians. I'm still a UPS driver. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Delivering during a pandemic. First bad thing that happened in 2020, right when we found out that there was a pandemic last year as a UPS driver, I was delivering a huge bulk stop. Apparently these guys thought that they were never going to make these things again. A huge bulk stop for a sex toy store that is very, very close to here. I don't want to say their name in case I get sued. They're super close. They ordered a massive shipment of sex toys. Massive. And my boss said, would you mind delivering these? Because if we put them on the regular truck, the guy's not going to have room for his other stuff. So I take the truck out. It's still cold and icy and snowy out at this point in time. I load my cart up with a ton of boxes, and I start making my way towards the front door of this establishment. And on the ice, I tripped, I fell, I landed on my hip, I dropped the boxes, broke open dildos everywhere on the sidewalk. I tripped and fell so hard that I could not walk for 2 days. I landed just that bad. Now, it sounds just like, oh yeah, that's an accident. But has anybody ever tried to call their boss and say, I cannot come to work because I cannot walk due to slipping with those dildos? He's like, what? And my father wasn't very proud of it either. And my wife was kind of intrigued. Really? But this asshole delivering during a pandemic, do you have any idea what it's like to deliver to you fuckers during the middle of the pandemic? When the pandemic happened, and it happened during the spring, I found out that during the spring, I also have this very funny thing that I get every year called allergies, which is not COVID. It looks like COVID maybe, it acts like COVID a little bit, but it is not COVID. And as I deliver and I sneeze, and the look that I get on your stupid fucking faces. Last spring, very nice day, it was in the middle of April when it was still kind of scary. I had packages, and you guys order a lot during a pandemic. You guys don't go shopping at all at this point. So it is all us. I sat my truck at the corner of the block, and I was walking stops off, and I noticed a guy working in his yard. He was gardening, and I had a package for him. And I walk up, and I'm like, "Excuse me, sir, I have a package for you." And as he's gardening, he goes, "Wait! You stop right there." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Stop right there." I was like, "I have a package for you." He's like, "You don't take another step closer. You set my package down on the sidewalk right now and you back away." And I was like, "Oh no, man, I don't have COVID. This is just allergies." He says, "I don't care. Set it down, back away." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay." I set the package down, and as I walk away, I was like, "Thanks, have a good day." He's like, "Yeah, whatever, get out of here." What a jerk, right? I find out later that he called the UPS hotline number. And he says, "How dare you guys send a sick driver to deliver my package? I demand," I think this guy's name was James. What was his name, Paul? He goes, "I demand that you send a healthy driver to come over to my house with a can of Lysol to spray off my box so I can get it up off my sidewalk." And we went, that package is still sitting there. But I remember thinking to myself, what a motherfucker, right? Like, I remember watching the news that night, expecting to see myself on it. Because you could see that, right? You could picture, you're like, "Hello, this is the BBC, and here's the news from around the world. UPS driver out of Billings, Montana, sneezes while making a delivery. The customer states when the driver sneezed, he witnessed COVID go in through his nose and is currently sucking out his soul. All hope is lost, and now the World Cup." So it was that point when I was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm gonna try something different at UPS. I've been at UPS now as of, is today the 4th? Third. Tomorrow it is 19 years I've been at UPS. So I was like, I'm gonna do something different. And I went out and got the CDL to drive the semi. Not yet. There's no semi drivers that came tonight. Does anybody in this room drive a semi or have ever driven a semi? Hug this guy and buy him a shot. Anybody else that has driven a semi? Because this shit is not a fucking joke. The semi, you guys will get this shit. So, I had gotten my license for the semi because for the package cars, you don't need a Class A, but for the semis, obviously you do. I got my CDL in September. So I'm very new to the semi. It is very foreign to me. That week that we had that negative 30-degree weather, does anybody remember that shit? I used to drive the semi from here to Great Falls and back every single night, Sunday night through Thursday night. I drove that semi. One night during that cold-ass week, a lot of you have seen the semi-trailers going down for UPS. You know that we carry 2 or even sometimes 3 trailers. I had 2 trailers on that night, and I was coming back from Great Falls, and I made it to Belt. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the highways from here to Great Falls. Made it to Belt. It is a 2-lane highway. The road, it had snow, and in a semi, when you kick up the snow, you can't really see the shit coming on behind you. If anybody's ever been on a highway, when it's snowing, you know how you cannot pass a semi, and when a semi passes you, you're like, fuck you. You know that guy? Yes. Driving down, I made it to Belt, and the fucking back trailer fell off. 65 miles an hour down the fucking highway. The back trailer fell off. You're like, what the fuck? Now, I didn't know because you cannot hear it, you cannot see it. The only thing I saw was somebody trying to pass me. I was like, who's this dick? I was like, that's my fucking trailer! And I pull up, And I park, and I was like, I don't even want to see what the fuck just happened to this trailer that had fallen off my truck and slid down the road. I was like, oh my God. I turned the semi around, and I went back. The trailer had stayed upright and skid down the road like a sled and came to a stop after it hit a light pole. I can't describe much more because it's still under investigation. And that was it. That was the end of that story. And for all of you that wanted a punchline, fuck you. I'm back in package car delivery again. There's no more semis. And that's not their decision, that was mine. They actually tried to fight me to stay in the semis. I was like, fuck you, do you know the PTSD that I have now? Because it happened again 2 weeks later. This time, both trailers. What the fuck, right? So I'm back in the package side of things. Yeah, thanks again for, and again, buy these guys shots, whoever drives the semis in this one, because clearly, either I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, or our equipment just sucks. And I'm going with the first one. Anyways, I was also in 2020 in a plane crash. I was. I know when I say that and my wife looks at me and she's like, no you weren't. Shut up, you're gonna ruin the joke. Sometimes I have to lie up here. I was in a plane crash in 2020. Here's what happened. I was sitting on the tarmac waiting for takeoff. I was sitting there with my seatbelt fastened in the seat in the upright position. And as we're waiting, all of a sudden the plane goes and I was like, what the fuck was that? And it was immediately after that, the pilot gets on the intercom. He's like, folks, this is your captain speaking. I want everybody to know, if you're wondering what the disturbance was to that aircraft just now, if you look outside the left window, you'll notice that the tug carrying the luggage has clipped our wing. We're currently waiting for a mechanic to come over to see if the aircraft is still flight ready. I recommend, while we wait, you sit with your seatbelts fastened in the upright position. We'll be back here as soon as we can. So I was like, Jesus Christ. I look out the left window, and part of the wing is laying on the ground. I was like, boom! I was like, I'll go ahead and just drive this time. You guys just want me to walk, all this. And it was less than 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes, the captain gets back on. And he goes, folks, because I could see the mechanic walking up to this plane, right? He's just like, shit. We already got their money, right? Yeah, you're good. It was 3 minutes. The captain gets back on. And he goes, folks, this is your captain speaking again. I have terrific news. The mechanic has come back and said that the aircraft is flight ready. We want to remind you folks that we are 13th in line for takeoff. We're just currently waiting for the black cat in front of us to get out of the way. We do want to remind you folks that in the event of a mid-air collision this time, that the co-pilot and I are the only two on flight with a parachute. However, in the event of a water landing, your seat in front of you does turn into a flotation device. We want to thank you for choosing Allegiant Air. We hope to see you on the other side. Hope we crash over Lake Elmo! True story. Actually, what happened there is I told Stuart is the guy I lost luggage. I said, Stuart, if you do not find my bag, I will talk about you every fucking show that I do until you find my bag. It has been 38 minutes. They still have not found my bag. So I talk about Stuart. I'm looking up at my clock and we have time for another joke. So I was going to leave you with that. However, my wife is here tonight. And tonight we talk about the day we had our child. Anybody want to hear it? This is an old joke for anybody who's ever been to a Laugh Out Loud comedy show. My wife and I got pregnant very, very quickly into our relationship. We met 4 years ago, and we have a 3-year-old. So if you guys want to do the math, it has not even been 4 years yet. Anyways, Shondell, my wife, who is in her late 30s, 29, she has never had a kid before, and I have had 2. So she asked me, she's like, do you remember when you were in the delivery room, did it hurt your other 2 baby mamas? And I was like, I mean, they got their epidural, and they were in there, they were pushing for a couple minutes, I guess an hour maybe, and we had our kid, and they didn't tell me any different. I'm going to piss off every fucking mother in this room right now. My wife wrote this joke, I just say it. So 9 months pass, and we're going through the whole is it gonna hurt stage. 9 months pass, it is now September 27th. Now I believe that we were how far overdue at this point?
11 days.
11 days overdue. Now for any mother that's in this room tonight knows that during the middle of the hot fucking summer, 11 days overdue is 48 days fucking past due. We were downtown at Hardee's. I remember the day. September 27th, we're downtown at Hardee's. We're ordering food, and before they even bring the food over to our number on the table, the water on my wife breaks. She was like, oh my God, I think my water just broke. And I'm like, babe, we didn't even get our fucking food yet. Like, Hardee's is fucking expensive, right? She's like, we need to go to the hospital right now. And I was like, fuck, I was trying to get a refund. I couldn't even, we didn't have time. We left immediately. We go up to the hospital. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they had her in through the emergency room and all the way up to the labor center. And they had her in bed. They were putting, IVs in her and whatever else they poke them with. At this point in time, she did not have the epidural because she was trying to go through it without it. Ladies, they don't give medals for that shit, so I don't know why you do it. They had her in the room. The nurse puts on a glove, goes up under the sheet, and says, I'm going to check to see how far along dilated you are to see where we are in the birthing process. She checks. She says, you're at a 2 centimeters. You need to be at 10 for the baby. For those of you that don't know, about a 10 is when they start pushing. You're at a 2. We're going to be here a while. Get comfortable. Now, my wife, as the doctor checks it out, he goes, could I do anything to make could I get you anything? And she goes, we're starving. Can I maybe get something to eat? And the doctor goes, no, I'm sorry, you can't. You can't, yes, you can get some ice cubes. And she goes, can I maybe get some pudding or some ice cream or anything? And no, you're right, they don't give you anything. And there's a reason for it. The doctor leaves the room. I'm sitting on the couch. My wife looks over at me, who at this point was not my wife. I'm surprised we actually got married, actually. She looks over at me and says, babe, will you go down to the cafeteria and get me something to eat? And I was like, you just heard the doctor say you cannot have anything. She goes, what the fuck does he know? And I was like, I can't. She's like, fine, whatever, sit there. And this is when it starts. September 27th. How long were we in labor?
42 hours.
42 hours. It is now September fucking 29th. I'm sitting on the couch scrolling through Facebook. And all I hear from the bed that she's laying in is, and I kind of look up from my phone and I just look at her and she's not even looking at me. I go back to my phone and I hear, And I didn't have to look up because the side of my head was starting to smoke. But I was like, is there a problem? And she goes, have you always been this fucking annoying? I was like, what? And she goes, every time you breathe out, I can hear it fucking stop. What? What the hell do you want me to do? Hold my breath till you have the baby? Here. You go ahead and get this baby started because I got some fucking breathing to do. She was like, you know what? She's not even going to get your last name. Right? It was at this point that I actually felt some compassion for Scott Peterson. I was like, yeah. Not getting my last name? Guess what? We're going fishing when this kid's born. So I say, you know what? I'm going to go out and find a nurse to see how far along dilated you are so we can get this process started. She's like, you know what? Take your time. I was like, oh, I will. I'm going to go down to the cafeteria. Would you like me to get you some? Oh, I'm sorry. I like how the mother in the back there, she's like, oh, the hell you didn't. Like, you better be fucking funny, motherfucker. It's hilarious. So I go out, I just grab the first nurse that I see, and I was like, could you check to see how far along dilated she is in here? Because I think we're getting close. She's getting to that point. She's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and check. Now, she comes in the room, and she puts the glove on. She goes underneath the blanket. She's like, all right, you're actually at an 8. And I was like, fuck, finally an 8. Jesus Christ. Both of them look over at me. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Could you just grab that plunger from the bathroom and so we can get this kid out? Now the nurse looks at me and she's like, I'm gonna go assemble the team. We'll be right back. She goes out, grabs the head doctor that originally checked us, and the head doctor comes in and says, I hear that we're close to having a baby. And they see me sitting over on the couch and I'm just like, the doctor's like, oh my God, sir, are you okay? And I was like, you know, now that you mention it, I'm getting kind of woozy. Can I maybe get some like ice cream or some pudding or something? I just finished up my second snack pack. And the doctor gets the glove on, goes underneath the sheet, and says, oh, you're actually not at an 8. You're at a 4. I was like, a fucking 4? I was like, I'm at a fucking 4. And I was like, well, what the hell hole was she checking and why was it gapped to an 8? The time comes, we're finally at a 10, and it comes time for her to start pushing. Now, in every other birthing room that I've been in where it's my kid, that we're for sure of, I'm standing up by the head of the mother. And she starts pushing, and for a very long, agonizing 10 seconds, they push. They're like, all right, push. Oh! And in the middle of the 50th push or so, and she's sweating. She's like, you fucking lied to me. And I was like, what? She's like, you said that this was gonna be easy. I was like, I lied to you? You fucking lied to me. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, as hard as I sat here and watched you push, you could have moved that fucking washing machine all by your fucking self. Doc, take that epidural out. She don't fucking need it. The doctor saves us though, because now the baby is starting to crown. Crowning means the head's coming out, for those of you that don't know. And the doctor goes, Dad, would you like to come down and catch the baby? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll stay up here. I'll just stay up here. It's okay. Have you ever like swam in the water when you could see the shark? Like, no. you never want to swim again, right? Like, and she was like, you go down and catch the baby. I was like, no, I don't. She's like, don't catch the fucking baby! I was like, wow, are you done? She's like, with what? I was like, letting your head spin all the way around there, Linda Blair? So I make my way down the side of the bed, and I turned to see at that point, very sensitively, I was very sensitive, and I was like, how many guys have you slept with? Because it has always been dark. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, guys that have never seen this, have any of you ever watched the show Little Shop of Horrors? Do you remember that plant? That plant was just turned sideways and everything was included. The teeth, the tongue, the 12-foot lips. I was like, what the fuck? Does that go back to normal? What am I got a doorstop dick? Right, like what am I gonna hula hoop with it? It went back to normal, I think. It doesn't let me touch it anymore. But my daughter was born. And she looked up, she looked up and saw me, and right away she goes, Dad? And I was like, daughter? And she goes, you look like you're on a budget. We'll just put this one back. Put her back. And she was born. And they took her out of the room because she had trouble with amniotic fluid and she couldn't cry right away. And I remember standing out there and waiting for her to come back. And she was perfect. Like, they wheeled a baby out, and the baby had, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Just perfect, right? And then they wheeled my daughter out. But I learned to love her. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking this is fucked up right now. The most fucked up part of this story is, to this day, my wife has not let me even look for or use that hole that was gapped to an 8. That is my time. Thank you so much, Gary Busby, Laugh Out Loud Comedy. Make sure you stick around because we're going to transition this into a dance floor. We're going to hang out. We're going to drink with you. You're already here. Stick it out. Make sure to hide those Easter baskets tomorrow. Thursday night, Projectile Comedy's here on this very stage. Thank you. Good night.